Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I see we have a quorum of our members and staff on board for our prosperity package meeting, which has been long overdue. An agenda was sent out. Can I get a motion from committee member to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Russell?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second to accept the agenda. Any question? All in favor? Aye. Let's go by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we're going to move right along. We have no minutes. I do not believe, Haley, there's no past minutes from our meetings from long ago.
I think we had already approved the most recent minutes from the last meeting.
Okay. But there's nothing that should be presented today.
No, ma'am.
Okay. I see we have the mayor on. I thank you for editing the agenda to get to a place where we need to be. We'll move right along. We wanted to review the Neighborhood Leaders Program. I see Terrace is on here. Now, I will say this. I didn't expect Terrace on this call, but we did have it on our agenda. I was really hoping that we would have had a written report that had been sent to HCD. Has such a report been sent to HCD?
Yes, ma'am. And I just forwarded it out to the committee members.
Okay.
And I'd asked for Terrace to come just because we were reviewing the activity, and she's the closest one on the ground, so we could give you good information, feedback.
I hope that Terrace will put on her calendar, and she can more than welcome to give us an update. And that is what it would be. It's just an update from her perspective. I want the committee to see the report in writing and to be able to digest it, because then we will have questions that we may not have today. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Hi, everybody. The report is submitted. Of course, we've got actually 17 neighborhood leaders who are engaging our residents pretty actively in the community at this point. I said 17 instead of 16 because one of our zones, the Barrow Zone, has a split position, and all of our neighborhood leaders are very active. We are working very closely with ACCA in the expansion of their Athens Eats program. We're also denoting sites within our neighborhood zones where the mobile COVID testing site could be part. Neighborhood leaders are working very closely with Spencer Fry and Habitat for Humanity for that. And those are just some things I wanted to point out. But in addition, we are continuously engaging the residents with tons of referrals for financial assistance. We're seeing a whole lot of that. A lot of legal situations, a whole lot of requests specifically for the Fowler, J.J. Harris, and the Payne Zone assistance with support for housing, rent, and specifics such as that. But the report pretty much denotes a lot of it. Our neighborhood leaders are engaged in ongoing professional development. We've just completed conflict resolution and nonviolent communication training with Georgia Conflict Center. And we did the Bridges to Poverty training and are prepared to do a specific training and engage our community at large. So a great deal of professional development happening and just the consistent case-to-case situation. So we're thankful again. I should have started my report with that. Thank you guys for your support of us in that way. But the report breaks down categories: employment, food assistance, financial, housing, shelter, legal, mental and medical. We're seeing a little bit of that. I'm noticing this month a little bit more than normal. A lot of our residents are stressed out, and that's because of the lack of employment. A lot of parents are stressed due to the virtual learning, but now that they've gone back to school, we're looking to see that change a little bit. So hopefully that was a little snapshot.
Thank you. Committee members, any questions for Terrace? Russell? Mike?
Nope, I'll check out the report, see if I have any then.
Okay. Moving right along, I do know one of the things we discussed last week was where we were. Oh, I'm sorry, Terrace. Please, thank you for your support and continue the good work.
Thank you.
One of the things that I know has been posted now is the grant writer position. Blaine, do you want to give us an update on, and I actually have not seen the actual job description, so I will be, I think in my last email, I did actually, would you email it to us, but could you give us an overview and deadlines of the, with the grant writer position?
Yes, and I did get your email a few hours ago. I haven't been able to get that to y'all, and I apologize, but I'll get that out this afternoon. So if you'll remember, last December, the agenda item I sent out just earlier was approved by the commission, and in January, the position was posted. We did receive some applications prior to COVID. They weren't of the, we didn't have an outstanding candidate pool. Then COVID happened, and we had shut down of our offices, we just sort of put all that on pause. And of course, with HCD, very quickly, with your indigent services programs that you put into play for COVID, went into that mode. And then right on the back end of the indigent services, we went into the CARES Act distribution. And as soon as, and Haley and Deborah, if I'm misstating any of this, please let me know. As soon as those contracts were wrapped up for CARES Act, as you know, about a month ago, we got back on advertising these things. And we talked to staff, and Ovita, you and I had talked about this as well, about the best way to use these resources. We figured, we hire folks from time to time. Sometimes you've got a very competitive candidate pool, and sometimes you don't. We figured we'd go out one more time and see if we can find folks here who would rise to the top. And if not, we could look at a hybrid where perhaps we could go into contract with a grants administrator to help us. I do know initially we did look for a grants coordinator and a grants specialist. And I think y'all changed that to just 2 specialists. The coordinator would have made a little bit more money. That seems to be the issues. We're not, able to pay as much as we'd like to. And of course, that has to do with as every government has, a pay and classification system where those jobs are all ranked according to the knowledge, skills, and abilities that you're looking for. So that's where we stand with the grant writers. And Haley, when's the due date on those applications?
November 19th is the closing date.
Okay, so about 10 days out from that.
And what is the salary range now for this position?
Let's see here.
Starting salary is $45,000.
Great. Okay. Anything else, guys? And Blaine, we do understand some of the things that slowed this process down. And I do think when we tried to find 2 grant writers, that was probably a lot based on the salary. So we'll look forward to seeing if you would still send that job description out to the committee members. I'd appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure we can go to the website and look for it. We're just a little lazy.
Nope,
the board just send it out. Okay.
The board just shared it with me. I'll forward it out to you here in just a minute.
We wanted to talk about how do we move forward with some of these programs. Haley, I have a question for you, and I know you might not have the answer today, but one of the things we were let me put it this way. One of the things I was hoping with the prosperity package, and then later with the CARES package, is how organizations are working together. How are they communicating with each other? How are they sharing resources? How are we not duplicating services? Is there a matrix that can show us the effectiveness of a real collaboration? I left this to Haley.
So we don't have any kind of like monthly report coming in that's specifically reporting on that collaboration, but I can tell you that we've definitely been in contact with each of the agencies that's received CARES Act funding and all of our other funding. And we've been encouraged by how much collaboration we've seen, particularly with the financial assistance piece. I will say my observation and our staff's observation of the nonprofit community right now is that everybody is overtaxed. And I can tell you from our perspective, we have several agencies in HCD who receive CDBG funds and have received indigent services funds and CARES funds and even home funds or continuum of care funds in our office. So, I mean, hats off to our agencies for being able to respond to an emergency and to put that effort forward to add on to the services they're already providing. But I say all that to say, it's an added level of work for an agency to do the work to collaborate and to start collaborating with partners you had not previously had relationships with. So we don't have anything formalized right now, but I can certainly write up something and share with you all what we've seen. And I can also report with homeless service agencies. This is a little bit different because many of our homeless service agencies are federally funded and required to collaborate in certain ways. So I think they probably had an easier time of it, whereas some agencies that are doing all these new kind of projects and initiatives are having to, I guess, collaborate and communicate in ways they've not yet done. So I can write something up, though, to give a little more clarity on what that looks like.
And I'd like to add to that, too, and Deborah and Haley, another thing that I've just sort of witnessed is that, you know, through the contracts of the money that y'all have awarded these folks, we've tried to put together, you know, some performance metrics. And because you've always been consistent that you want to make sure that the outcomes are happening for which the money was spent. And I think that for those that aren't used to federal funds or federal compliance or things of that nature, that's also a learning curve that they're doing in addition to scaling up and dealing with this. And that's learning sort of a new culture of, you know, reporting. It's you know, Terrace, the report I sent out was pretty detailed. I'm sure that took you a good bit of time and keeping up with that type of thing. So that's another, you know, sort of a burden on those folks' time to get into that mode of doing that. But the good news is that was part of those contracts that got sent out, and I think folks are learning, you know. So I just want to add that on top of your collaboration question, Commissioner Thornton.
Thank you. Committee members, any thoughts, any ideas on collaboration before I move on? Y'all are just so good today. We're just answering everything. I could not leave you out, Mayor Gertz, on these questions and answers. One of the things you and I discussed, and maybe I overlooked it, was a copy, or maybe we need to redo the mission statement for this committee. We have definitely pivoted with the funding that was first allocated for the prosperity package, and I don't think we meant for the prosperity package project or program to end because those dollars are not there now or available. Can you speak to the mission statement or how and how you foresee this committee moving forward based on whatever the mission statement is now. Mayor Kurtz.
Yeah. So thinking most broadly, I mean, obviously there's just, a host of poverty reduction work we do across the community, some that we fund directly, some in which we're indirect partners. Given that this committee was the launch pad for the Neighborhood Leaders Program and for our grant writing capacity, I think at a minimum, a recurrent check-in, say quarterly check-in on those efforts would be helpful. And then, we can look to future budget years. Obviously, in our full mayor and commission retreat Thursday and Friday, we'll be doing a little bit of prep for the budget. So, we often have had those big rocks meetings in February or March, and you might think of these as sort of the tectonic plate meetings by comparison, where we're thinking of the really, really big rocks. And so I think as we continue to highlight poverty reduction, there will be a role for this body.
So, do you or do we still have the actual mission statement in writing somewhere?
Yeah, we do. And I don't have it in front of me, but it really was to.
Or do we?
Yeah, so the existing one was really just to create a framework with that $4 million and to direct some efforts stemming from that pot of cash. So it was, as we often have, something of an ad hoc committee. With really a sort of focused intent, rather than the broader, more recurrent intent of, say, the government operations or legislative review groups.
So can you go ahead? Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Chair. I was going to say, and I think just like all the other commissioner committees, it makes it's an advisory committee to the full body and makes recommendations on things that need to be focused on, and as Kelly said, baked into the budget if need be.
One of the things that I do admire about the Corridor Committee with Josh Edwards is all of our agendas have the mission statement on there. What I'm asking for, can we get a written mission statement that even if we got to tweak it down the road, that it is in writing, so we on this committee and others will know what our mission is in a few words.
Yeah, it's easy to do. Absolutely.
That is my point. All right. So we're just moving along here. I feel that the idea with the citizens participatory budgeting kind of got hijacked. This was one of our programs we wanted to pursue, but it turned out to be part and it was an excellent presentation at our retreat from I think it was North Carolina. That was a lot of good information, and I'm wondering where we are with that at this point. Is this now like a board at large project, or are we as the Prosperity Committee still looking at this as one of our projects?
I'd frame that as sort of a full commission project.
And it doesn't matter. I just want to make sure it doesn't get lost.
Yeah, no, I think that's for the full body to consider.
Okay. Then is this on our upcoming retreat to be discussed as a follow-up?
So the participatory budgeting, one thing that I was going to give to the commission this week was something called a budget guidelines document. And I wanted to capture earlier on. So if you know about the big rocks, and that occurs in March after the mayor, after I've worked with all the department directors and put together a recommended budget. And when I hand it off to the mayor is when we have big rocks. And this, I know y'all know this, but I'm saying this for the benefit of anybody that's watching. And the reason it's been called big rocks for years is if you want to make any fundamental changes to the budget, then you really start with a big the big pieces, the big rocks. And my thought this year, the last few years, what we've had is we've gone through the budget process, and then the mayor and commission, maybe at their last work session, Commissioner Hamby and yourself helped put together some of these, comes forth with some new ideas, and just wanted to give a way for us to get those ideas out earlier so we could bake them into the budget. So my thought was to have this. I'm getting to your, I'm going to give you a direct answer, Commissioner Thornton. I'll just give you some background here. So in this document, I'm hoping, here's some revenue goals we're trying to achieve. For instance, we're trying not to raise the millage rate. And then here's some expenditures that we need to pay attention to as y'all think about new things that you want to do, so that you have it all there in front of you. Because we could do a better job of trying to get, you can get way down in the weeds with the budget. So we're going to try, and what I'd love to do is start it at a higher level. And as we progress towards the budget, we come in closer and closer, so that at least y'all know what to ask questions about or pry further on. So I say all that to say, Commissioner Thornton, I think that the commission received the Durham presentation you referred to fairly well. What my understanding is that we were looking for trying to work through what a program might look like, for the future. And so in that expenditures list of possibilities in this first letter that's going to go out before this week for retreat, I was going to have, a placeholder for participatory budgeting. How much do you want that to be? That would be alongside all these other priorities that you have to decide upon. So as far as us going and coming up with a very specific program right now, there's no work being done on that. We were hopeful to come back to this next retreat, put a variety of competing needs out there, and kind of have y'all direct us about where you'd like to be, and then we could design a participatory budgeting program around your direction and best practices that we find from other governments.
That sounds like a plan, and I'm very supportive of us moving forward. The complaints and the concerns that I've heard in the past is that we discuss a lot of stuff lost somewhere, and that's nobody's fault, because things change and emergencies pop up and things get lost. So I wanted to know how this was still going to move forth, since we've had so many distractions this year. It's been a very distracting year. So if we are looking forward to that, to move forward, and I would love for, and I would like for the prosperity package committee to, let's keep our eye on that ball, so it doesn't get lost as it moves to the commission at large. Is that okay, committee? God, I have such a great committee there. Okay. Did you have a question, or were you agreeing, Russell? Okay. All right. Well, we're going to move along. I noticed that on the mayor's version of the agenda, he had, is there anything else before I come up, before I make some suggestions? I think Blaine said he had somewhere to be in 30 minutes and don't want to hold folk up unnecessarily. Is there anything else before I make my closing comments? And one of my closing comments is I'm going to be asking for a vote from the committee. Is there anything else that's pressing? With that being said, just to summarize, I took from this meeting is that Haley could look into giving us a matrix of how organizations are working together collaboratively. Something very simple. The mayor, Mayor Gertz, are you going to revisit the writing of the mission for this committee?
I'll do that.
Okay.
And Commissioner Thornton, before we leave that first one, and so the organizations you're referring to, are you referring to ones that currently have received CARES Act funding and indigent services funding?
Those are the two I'm concerned with, because the indigent care came from the prosperity package and the CARES came from the board's recommendation, those two. So I'm not necessarily talking about CDBG.
Okay, that's helpful because there's a whole bunch of organizations interacting all at the same time. So that's one axis.
Yeah, and let me tell you why. You have made several comments. I think you said, one of the things you said, you had a goal, and I believe it was with Athens Eats, I believe, a goal of serving 10,000 people or families. And we, the local government, have served 7,000 at the time when you made this statement. And my analysis, just Ovita, I haven't talked to no one about it. We have problem. If we start thinking as a group, as a community, we have far exceeded the 10,000 because there are so many other groups and organizations that are also feeding folk. So I'm just trying to have a framework in my mind on how local government is really working with community folk in the community. I am trying to focus in my mind how local government is supporting these new groups that are not used to these supporting styles, that we're more of a help than a hindrance. So that's my point where I would like for us to start open, because there's so many groups out here that does good work. But when we separate ourselves as local government, it really does not give a good picture of all the good work. That was my point, Manager Williams.
Well, that is helpful, Commissioner Thornton. Understanding that what you're trying to understand with the information, and what certainly with the folks that are reporting to us, we've got that data at hand, and we can do some with all the other nonprofits that aren't necessarily reporting to us or receiving funds. There's not, unfortunately, and maybe this is something for the future, a clearinghouse where everybody's reporting and we can figure out what's going on. So that's why I was asking to refine or understand your request for information, because, of course, with the, I don't know, is there 500 or 600 nonprofits?
I don't want you to, I'm not asking you to take on that big, I gave you my big vision.
Right.
I'm not asking you to tackle that. What we're doing now, groups we're working with, is just a start.
Sure. So one axis would be the organizations, and the other axis would be the activities. So things like homelessness, food insecurity, those are the types of things that you want to see in a matrix of who's helping with what at what point.
And a bonus star if folk found a way to work with each other, if that's possible. For example, I know with some of the rental assistance, we had a conference call a couple of weeks ago. There were questions about how could they refer to another group if they weren't able to help a person. Just being able to make that connection. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
I think that's what we all should be looking for.
Well, we'll definitely take a crack at it, and we'll come back to y'all, and we'll look at how we can refine it in a way that's helpful to you and everybody else.
I don't expect this to be something that happens. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not expecting it to happen by tomorrow. I'm not trying to put another piece of a layer of work on the staff. I think the staff is doing a great job under this, these tremendous. I'm looking down the road on how we develop this. So this is not a one-shot project.
Okay. Thank you.
And then I think we're already looking forward to getting the grant application the grant description. I think Assistant Manager London has already sent that to you to send out to us. So that's a done deal. We just got to click on our emails. So, saying all of that, unless somebody else has anything else to add, again, I want to thank everybody. But before I close, I don't know how much we really got. I think today was a good time to look at where we need to continue our work with. I think we folk have taken on assignments and to move on. I do want to see, we need to see the written report from the neighborhood leaders. I thank Terrace Thomas for her report, but we do need to see the written report, whatever that looks like. Two, I would like for us to revisit or review the memorandum of understanding for the neighborhood leaders memorandum of understanding. I think I know, Blaine, you said you got my email a little early, got it earlier today, but I thought we had discussed that last week. So, but I could be wrong. But we need to relook. I would like to relook at the memorandum of understanding for the neighborhood leaders, the written report for the neighborhood leaders. Apparently, the grant writer position has already been sent to us, so I'll scratch that. And we are going to just kind of monitor as the prosperity package, as to move forward on the citizens participatory budgeting. And the last thing, and I think this might be a Haley or Blaine or somebody, on collaborations, connections. I guess that's the best way to put it. Those are the things I think that, those are the things that I would like for us to have in hand, discuss before January. I see that the mayor looked like he's off the call, but Blaine, is it possible for us to get a copy of the memorandum of understanding, the neighborhood leaders report? I'm not going to worry too much about that collaboration, but that might be a little much. And the mission statement. Can we get those three things by?
Well, the memorandum is part of the agenda item that I sent out just a little bit earlier, so you have that in your inbox, as well as a written report. So those are already waiting on you in the inbox. Well,
then the only thing I would suggest, committee, can we, and Kelly will get us the mission statement. So
that's
that
right.
would be outstanding. Committee, I would like to see your position on having a meeting next Monday at 1:00, just to go over the information that we received today. Mike, Russell?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Can I get a motion in a second that we meet next week at 1:00 to go over those three things?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Well, we're going to meet again next week with those three agenda items. Mayor Williams, I know you feel like the mayor, right? Manager Williams. And if there's not, is there anything else before I call for adjournment? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Unanimous
Let's go,
consent.
guys.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All in favor? We are locked. We're walking away from now. We'll see you again next Monday at 1:00 to discuss those three agenda items. Thank you.
All right.
See you.